Hey guys, it's Danny. Today it is time to pot up the orchids that I brought with me home from our trip to the Netherlands. And today I'm going to show you the ones that I purchased from the most beautiful place on earth that I've visited so far, the Orchideen Hoeve in the Netherlands. P.S. Before we go on, let me just tell you, this is not a tutorial. It's not a repotting tutorial. It's more of a story time. If you're looking for a tutorial type of a potting video, I'll link you one down below. It is my repotting in moss the right way video, which talks about everything you would want to know about the subject. So we're gonna do things just like in that video, but I'm not gonna insist too much on the repotting aspect, but more on the story pretty much while I do my repottings, because these guys definitely need repotting, or rather potting. They're starting to dry up, as you can see. So before we start, don't forget to give this video a like if you enjoy it, and why not subscribe? It is free and I post multiple times a week. But if you're feeling a little extra about it, do consider further supporting my channel by checking out the merch, using the affiliate links, becoming a member, or using the super thanks option down below my videos. Righty then. So let's start with the beautiful mini Phalaenopsis that I do not have an ID for. Oh, but judging by the smell, because yes, it is fragrant, and the mottled leaves, she's a Schilleriana hybrid. Which hybrid? I don't know, because she did not have a tag. And the story will begin with how we got to this place. So I was searching for orchid nurseries around where we were staying, and sadly there weren't many, but I did come across in my searches to this place, the Orchideen Hoeve. P.S. if I mispronounce anything, please excuse me. I'm trying. Let me know in a comment if you're Dutch how I should pronounce things. All right, so of orchids there. The problem was it was located quite far away from where we were staying, but not unreachable either. We just needed to take some trains and some buses. So we planned the adventure. We planned the trip. We set out very, very early in the morning so that we had time to enjoy everything and also time to get back home. So to get there, it would have taken us around 2.5 hours to 3 hours, something like that. So we planned everything very, very early in the morning. So we purchased our tickets. Everything actually went pretty well until we got to the city which is nearest to the Orchideen Hoeve. So we arrived there with train, and from there we had to take a bus for another 40 minutes or so to reach to the Orchideen Hoeve, because it was outside of the city, pretty much in the farmland. So we arrived in the train station. Unlucky for us, the train station was just getting renovated, so it was closed. There were no amenities anywhere close, and it was pretty cold. And we had 40 minutes to wait for the particular bus. So we decided to just go around town a little bit. And if any of you visited Netherlands, you know everything in the Netherlands is absolutely beautiful. At least this is how I've seen everything. The architecture is absolutely amazing. And we didn't really have a problem with visiting something other than Amsterdam. So visiting another city, absolutely fine with us. Now, here's the problem we didn't really know much about. On that particular day, the bus drivers decided to go on a strike. So what ended up happening was us waiting for the bus that would never arrive. So we missed the first scheduled bus, and then we did learn from some locals there that there was a strike and that we'd best maybe take a cab or something. By the way, we wanted to call an Uber or a Bolt, but these services weren't very available in this small town, as a local girl said to us, and mind you, these are her words, we were in a black hole, so no Bolt or Uber, maybe a cab if we're lucky. So I found her description quite funny, even though the city was actually beautiful. We investigated a little bit about a cab in the area. We got one, we called, and the person taking the calls told us, yeah, I can fix you a cab. It will be there in 45 minutes. Oh, 45 minutes, okay. Well, the next bus theoretically should arrive in an hour. The buses were supposed to arrive hourly. So we have a choice. Either we wait 45 minutes, take the taxi, and the taxi would cost us about 70-80 euros from there to the Hoeve, or we could take our chances, wait an hour, not 45 minutes, for a bus and take it for free because we already paid for our plan for today. So let's do that. Maybe it's gonna arrive, because the idea was not all the buses were on strike, some of the buses. So the traffic was reduced pretty much. The frequency of the buses was reduced, but they weren't completely on strike. When we arrived there, buses were coming and going, but then at some point they stopped. So we decided to wait, take our chances and wait another hour so that we don't have to pay so much money for a cab. And we wait for an hour, and guess what? The bus doesn't arrive. By the way, we weren't the only ones. There were other lost tourists there, completely shocked by what was happening as well. But with the help of the locals, they managed to get taxis as well, and we decided, well, it's been already 2.5 hours or something that we've been here in the cold. We have two options. Either we go home, we find the next train and go back, or we get a cab and complete the adventure. I was ready to go back to the hotel. My husband was like, no, we've made it this far. We need to do this. You need to see this place. Let's do it. Let's go. Okay. So I called back the cab company and they sent the cab, which thankfully arrived in half an hour, and they took us to the Orchideen Hoeve. It was an experience, to say the least, because the cab wasn't really like a cab. It was more of a micro bus, if I can call it like that. So it was a cab where you could actually fit 10 people in without a problem. And the ride there was 70 euros indeed. And the problem was, okay, if it was so difficult to get there, how do we go back to the train station? So we actually talked to the driver and arranged with him to come pick us up when the place was closing, like at night, because at this point it was over lunchtime. It was pretty late in the day. The driver said, sure, I can come pick you up, no problem. That's a deal. Let's hope they come back. So anyway, we arrived there, and the first thing we do is just get a snack because we were so hungry at that point. And then we look around the place, and finally it hits us how beautiful this place is. And yeah, maybe it was worth all of this adventure. Okay, so at this point, you guys, I would add slow release fertilizer, but I'm going to actually do something else. Remember I told you that I ordered from Amazon some insecticide that actually gets dissolved in the water and the orchid absorbs it and becomes not so funny for pests? Well, it arrived. It's this thing. The problem is it's sticks that you need to insert in the potting mixture. This is the only version that I found for home use, for using indoors actually. The thing that you dissolve in water and then you water the plants with, that is for outdoor use. And I don't want to risk it at this point. I don't know if there is really a difference, so I'm just going to use this. Problem with this is it also has fertilizer. I couldn't find a version of this without the fertilizer. And if you know this, if you've used it indoors without fertilizer, let me know. But this is the only thing I can find on Amazon. So instead of my slow release fertilizer, I'm gonna use this just to start testing it out. So they say to add 1 stick per 1 liter of potting mixture. This is definitely not 1 liter, so I'm just gonna add, to be sure, about 1/3 of this, or even less, because it's a tiny plant. And another concern is that orchids really don't eat, quote unquote, as much fertilizer as other plants. So hopefully I'm not gonna burn my orchids with this, but yeah, I need to do something about the thrips. I'm willing to try it. Oh, it's easy to break apart. There we go. I'm going to insert it. They say to insert it quite deep in the potting mixture, so I'm just gonna put it right here in between the layers of sphagnum moss next to the root system, pretty much, because I want this orchid to start absorbing the active ingredient. Right. Okay, so let's continue the story. Well, my friends, what can I tell you? The Orchideen Hoeve is one of the most beautiful places I've ever visited. As the name suggests, you will see a lot of orchids there, but don't imagine orchids that you've never seen before. The idea was to create a jungle feeling to the environment. It's actually described as a jungle park, which means it does have a ton of plants and the layout and design of a jungle, but it also has a few animals. Don't imagine big animals, mostly birds actually. which is great because the focus was more on the room and the environment itself rather than cramming together animals, which is just sad. I really don't like that type of a display, but rather creating this beautiful environment for them and not put them on display, just let them roam free, do their thing, fly around. They had a lot of space to fly. I really like this display, and actually the birds there were really tame. They weren't afraid or anything, and yeah, it was magical. So imagine a place, a very big place with multiple jungly type of rooms. Now, each room or habitat was just a little bit different. They weren't all the same. In the first one, there were a lot of jungle trees and plants and also a pond with very big catfish. Now, this was a funny thing because you could actually feed the catfish. If you would donate a few coins, you could get a container with a few shrimps to feed the catfish. And of course, we fed the catfish. Now, some of them were just the sweetest, gentle giants. They were taking the food so nicely. They were intimidating, you guys. They looked scary, but they were so gentle. And others, I suppose the younger ones, were quite cheeky and they would give you a jump scare. Yeah, so one of them really scared the heebie-jeebies out of me, but it was so fun. It was really fun to feed them. So the first room looked indeed like a jungle. One thing that I really appreciated was the fact that the orchids were pretty much all in bloom. I did spot some species here and there that were actually attached to the trees and they were growing naturally kind of there. Those species weren't something you would find necessarily in flower shops, of course, but they did display a lot of the flower shop orchids as well, orchids that people would recognize, obviously. And I appreciated that these guys were rotated very frequently because all of them had flowers. And we all know orchids are not always in bloom. So from time to time, they definitely did rotate them, maintaining the place really magical, really beautiful. You wouldn't see like phalaenopsis without flowers, with crown rod and stuff. No, they looked pretty great. Other rooms were downright greenhouses, and I did notice this in multiple places in the Netherlands. They had a lot of cymbidiums, and not only phalaenopsis and paphiopedilums as well. I do suppose that it was a distribution place for other flower shops or garden centers around the Netherlands as well, because the orchids actually have an Orchideen Hoeve tag. Where did I put it? All right, there we go. So I do believe they do supply other flower shops or garden centers with orchids. Now, one of the things that I've noticed in most places that I've visited, of the kind, of course, is that they all have butterfly rooms. You guys, I love butterflies. They're one of those symbols, I guess, that means something to me, along with birds. Hence why the bird tattoo, butterfly tattoo will come soon, but I'm thinking of joining it with this one somehow, and I have no idea just yet. But yeah, I've been planning it for a while. Anyway, I was in absolute awe at the butterfly room, you guys. So some of you might be familiar with these. I have never visited a butterfly room. I didn't even know they existed, to be fully honest. Imagine one of those greenhouses, big greenhouses with wonderful exotic plants that also had butterflies everywhere. And I mean everywhere, and the most beautiful butterflies you've ever seen, particularly the big blue ones. They were flying everywhere. Sometimes they would even land on you. I could spend literal years there in that room, and I've made it my dream to maybe at some point in my lifetime create a greenhouse for butterflies. Is it doable? Not really, to be fully honest, but a girl can dream, right? Problem was, these rooms were also very humid. Oh yeah, pretty much everywhere it was very warm and very humid. So if you have hair that tends to frizz up in humidity, like me, oh, you'd love these rooms. Anyway, the butterfly room in particular was very warm and very humid, and we didn't even leave our coats anywhere. We had them with us, so we couldn't really spend as much time as we wanted. Also, we were in a rush because it was already late and we wanted to see everything. So sadly, I actually don't think I ever got enough time to spend in those rooms as I wanted. So I got the next best thing. This is not from this place, it's from another place, but I got the next best thing. I got a painting. I framed this actually, but it's an illustration with the beautiful butterflies at these places. This is from the Burgers Zoo, but yeah, this place had a beautiful butterfly room too. So yeah, I got to see the most beautiful and the biggest butterflies I've ever seen up close. Like one even landed on me, and it was absolutely magical. But the fun doesn't stop there. Oh no. There was another room with another magical creature that I love. There was a room with lorry parrots where you could actually feed them. If you don't know these parrots, they feed on nectar. Imagine a super big room with a whole lot of these lorries looking at you, knowing exactly what's about to happen. Can you guess what happened next? Yes, they were all over us. The room is designed to have lorries land on you and feed on the nectar. And that's exactly what they did because they already knew how things worked. It was magical, again, to have all of these beautiful birds on us. And we only took 1 cup each, and then we thought, well, we should have bought more cups and give them a whole lot of nectar, because they eat that nectar fast. I mean, in 1 minute, it was gone. So the whole fun didn't last all that long. And once it was gone, they didn't want anything else to do with you. They went on to their business. But yeah, next, if there will ever be a next time, I'm gonna get a whole bucket of nectar with me. I'm kidding. The nectar was provided by the place, by the way. You didn't give them whatever you wanted. So that was absolutely magical as well, and I really, really loved it. My husband loved it as well. We are big bird lovers, as I think you can tell. And you don't know her, but we do actually have a parrot as well. My beautiful birdie. And by the way, my Phalaenopsis is done. Let me just put a tag real fast. I'm also going to write a date because I will know when I added that insecticide / fertilizer. So since I don't know a name for it, I'm gonna say Schilleriana hybrid. Alrighty, so 1 orchid is done. See, from one blab to another, we get to do some good work today. Do you fit? Barely. I need some bigger decorative pots for these, but these work for now as well. The things you get away with in a warm environment. Alrighty, next up, Dendrobium zipzinger. As you can see, the flowers are already spent. Within a few days, they got spent, which makes sense. They got squished in the luggage and so on. And don't worry, I will talk about bringing them over as well because many of you asked. Just so you know, being that both the Netherlands and Cyprus are in the European Union, there is no restriction when it comes to traveling with plants or organics or things of the sort. So I didn't have to declare anything. It was pretty much a matter of making them fit in my luggage, which I now know I need a separate baggage for them. Anyway, so let's just cut away the flower spikes because they are spent. They got squished in the luggage. These guys only bloom once a year and the flowers are not super long lasting, but they're worth it. They look so, so beautiful. This year, we're done with the flowering. Righty. We continued with one of the rooms that were actually outside, and I do have a suspicion that in the summertime there is a bigger garden outside. This was very small. It was a lake for the flamingos and a few other birds like ducks, and also on the side I think there were either llamas or alpacas. I'm not really sure. They might have been alpacas. I have a funny sensation that they also had a bigger garden that was open in summer. Now it was cold for them. So this place, yes, it did have an outside area, but it also had some stable-like structures. It was an inside area as well, probably due to the cold. So this was a very tiny place compared to the other places, which I'm sure is temporary. But yeah, we did see flamingos as well and a few alpacas. They were really cute, but it was really cold, so we didn't spend too much time there. We continued. There were also monkeys, I think, but we didn't get to see them because they were in their inside enclosure and already we were running out of time. So we thought, okay, let's just go and visit. Also, we did see there was a sign for the Jungle Theater, which sounded very nice, but we arrived there too late. The last show was around noon, so we didn't catch any of the Jungle Theater shows, sadly, due to the whole adventure with the bus and the taxi and all of that. So that's gonna have to wait until next time. I don't know. So we missed that. And to be quite frank, there are so many things in my mind that I'm not entirely sure which room came next. I need to check the pictures. You're gonna have pictures on the screen. We were actually in a bit of a rush throughout all of our adventures because of how much time we actually spent on transport there. But overall, the most impressive rooms were definitely the jungle style rooms, the butterfly room, everything actually, everything. I loved everything, but la pièce de résistance, as it were, was this lounge room, I guess you would call it. It's not lounge in any way, shape, or form, but you had a small restaurant establishment and a whole bunch of tables and chairs for you to sit and enjoy a snack and a beverage. And this room was the most beautiful gardens I've ever seen, even though it was completely indoors. It was full of flowers everywhere. The side walls, they were made of mirrors, so I couldn't tell you really how big this room was. It didn't look extremely big, but since it had so many mirrors everywhere, it looked very, very big because all of the flowers were reflecting. In the middle, there was a pond with one of the most beautiful water lotuses I've ever seen. Not that I've ever seen any of these things, but you know what I'm saying. It was magical. The light there was a beautiful warm-toned light. It was the most beautiful thing we've ever seen. So we did spend a little bit more time here. That was the most beautiful, beautiful coffee shop, if you will, that I've ever had a coffee at. And we also got a cookie, because why not? We deserved a cookie. Well, actually it was a cake. My husband always makes fun of me because I confuse cakes and cookies and all of those things, but it was something sweet, okay? A slice of something very sweet and nice. Now, we did also see a room with a lot of entertainment for kids, like swings and stuff. We didn't spend a lot of time there. We just browsed real quick and moved on pretty fast. And honestly, that's pretty much all that I remember, because at this point it was getting late. The place was about to close. And I wanted half an hour to go to the souvenir section because I saw a lot of orchids in the souvenir section. I thought maybe they have some stuff for sale, and I was right. So we were in a bit of a rush now to go out to the souvenir place, and oh brother, they had a whole bunch of plants and orchids for sale. Not only orchids, but also other plants as well. I was just more into the orchids. I was focusing on them. And all of these beautiful orchids I purchased from there. All right, let me just finish off this orchid as well. We only have one, and we're almost at the end of the story anyway, which is great timing because this is the last orchid I'm gonna pot up today. So let's top it off real fast with some bark. There we are. The bark will maintain the sphagnum moss clean of cyanobacteria, which is very, very proliferant in my area, and it can attack root tips. And now let's get to the Phalaenopsis orchid, which has a lot of roots. I need to cut some of these roots. Right, so the souvenir section. Oh boy. It was more like a garden center or orchid nursery, to be fully honest, because it had not only souvenirs in the shape of magnets or other fun stuff you could take as a memory, but yeah, they had a lot of orchids for sale. Mainly flower shop friendly, let's say orchids. There was a wall with mounted orchids as well that had some species. Sadly though, they were species that I knew would not really appreciate my very, very warm climate. They weren't meant for me. So I didn't actually get any of those species. I stayed with the ones that I know for a fact will do good in my environment. And yes, maybe you would say, oh, Phalaenopsis, Dendrobium, maybe a little bit boring. You've been to this place and you didn't even get a Coleogene. It's okay, you guys. I've had my fun with Coleogenes, even with Pleurothales. I know, I'm not gonna do a good job. I'm not done trying to grow them yet. But when I'm gonna have my own house and I'm gonna have electricity optimized and all of those fun stuff, and I can do stuff more efficiently, I'm gonna give them another go. I'm gonna try to create cool areas, proper cool areas for them. Here where I am, I can't, it's not efficient. It costs a lot of money here because it's not optimized. So I know what I can grow and I know what I cannot. So that's why I didn't get other species that maybe I didn't have. I stick to the ones that I know I can grow. And these bring me just as much joy because they are beautiful. Right, so obviously I spent half an hour And I could have spent more only in the souvenir section because there were so many orchids displayed in so many places that I always thought I skipped an area. Did I see all of the orchids? Did I really check them? There's an orchid, there's a mini Phalaenopsis that I didn't purchase because she wasn't potted in a pot, it was in an arrangement. It wasn't expensive, but I didn't want to like get the whole glass arrangement and pretty much leave it behind at the hotel just for one orchid. It felt like a waste. I'm weird, right? So I ended up not getting that mini Phalaenopsis. It was red, it was fragrant. And I could not find any other one like her, just potted in a simple pot. It was just that one in the arrangement, and I thought, well, gotta have some losses too, but I'm still thinking about it. So I didn't get everything I wanted, but it doesn't matter. It's not about that. I got a few plants that I'm really, really happy with. Very happy about the Dendrobium. I have been eyeing it for a million years, to be fully honest, and I never saw it for sale. And I could have spent more time there, but it's absolutely fine. So it was around 6 o'clock at this point, and the place was about to close. How about the taxi driver? Will he come back? Will he not? Only one way to find out. So we waited for him at the entrance, and guess what? He came back. Yay! And for another 70 to 80 euros, we were back at the train station with a whole bunch of orchids, a whole bunch of memories, and not much in our wallets, but it's okay. We were back with all of these orchids at the hotel. And in the end, we were so tired because most of the times there in Amsterdam, we would walk pretty much. And we would do around 30 kilometers per day walking. We were amazed too that we could walk that much, but we did. So at this point, we were done. We were finished. But we were both very, very happy because we experienced one of the most beautiful things we have ever experienced. And if you're ever in the Netherlands, and maybe you have a car, maybe you rented a car, which maybe you should, I suggest you visit it. I don't think you'll be disappointed. I think it's beautiful. You don't necessarily have to be an orchid lover to enjoy it, really. It is a jungle park, and I do believe in the summertime it's even better than it was now. I really do hope we get to go back there one day. But if we don't, I at least have the memories, the physical memories at least. So look at that, you guys. We are almost done potting these guys. Now, this orchid, actually, one of you guys managed to identify it. I don't have the name in my head right now. It's something with leaves, right? One of you guys managed to ID it. Thank you so much. I'm gonna put the name on the screen because I need to go back and visit that comment. And I'm gonna make a tag for it as well. And yeah, we're almost done, you guys. So let me know in a comment below. Did you ever visit this place? Especially if you're from the Netherlands. Did I miss anything? How is it in summertime? Is it indeed different? Oh my goodness. Somebody has something to prove. Can you prove it faster? Thank you. Yeah, let me know in a comment. What has been your experience? How does it look in summertime? And your thoughts on the place. And if you didn't visit it, but decide to visit it after this video, come back and drop me a line telling me, how did you enjoy it? Okay guys, here we are. Everything is potted up. I actually ran out of battery that day. I think this video is half the length it could be. I blabbed on for over an hour. I extinguished the battery of my camera, but I removed the blah blahs, the excessive blah blahs from the video. So yeah, I can talk. Anyway, you didn't miss much. This is, goodness. This is why I don't film in the day, you guys. I wake up at 5 to film. Alright, so thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed hanging out with me and hearing about my stories. Hope you've enjoyed the photos and the videos and everything you've seen. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos. And with that said, I hope you'll have a great day and I'll see you next time. Bye!